Hey guys, what's up? It's Ryan here, and today we are going to review the Boosted Rev electric scooter. And I kind of wanted to go into a couple of things with this scooter that I thought were controversial about the scooter, and I kind of wanted to clear the air about this amazing scooter. First thing is with the build quality. The build quality is amazing. It's made out of like steel and really high class aluminum. It feels incredible. The build quality alone is a reason to buy this scooter. They use like a scratch resistant material for this plastic part right here, which I don't know if I believe that, but I've not had any scratches on it, so maybe they're right about that. Just things down to like the handlebars are very grippy. They're very nicely textured. Even to the braking system, this is all metal. The bell is all metal. Almost everything on the scooter is metal. Even like back here, when you go to like, that's plastic, but that was a bad example because that has to flex. But over here, this rim, that's metal. Also, this is, I believe, yeah, that is metal as well. And there's the Boosted logo, and then you have this big metal bar right there. You might be wondering why this is here. That's actually my bike lock. So this is what I use to unlock the scooter. I will leave a link to that in the description because I know people are always asking, like, how the heck do you lock these things up? So that one uses a fingerprint scanner. You also can just use any U-lock, bike lock. Anyone should work. And what I do is I wrap it around this part of the scooter and I lock it to the fence or like a little place. And you have your little charging flap right there. I'll get into that. But yeah, it's very well made, down to things. Even like the foot brake has very nice springs. It works very well. And this thing looks like it's going to be a thing that lasts a very, very long time. Also, in like the front here, you have the light. And it's also hinged. It's also metal. Of course it is. And the folding mechanism, which can just be done with one hand. You guys have seen other videos of the scooter. If you're doing research on it, you've seen other videos about it. You know how it folds, all right? It folds just like the Xiaomi. So right here, you just fold it down and it claps onto there, and then you can just pick it up. So it's really nice. Now let's get into range. And boy, oh boy, am I going to get some haters for this one. The range is great, right? I don't care what anyone says. 10 miles on an electric scooter is more than you need. You shouldn't be taking these things more than 10 miles unless you are like a complete, like, I don't know, unless you don't really use your logical part of your brain. And this is like something that I'm kind of getting into. And one thing that you guys have to remember about electric scooters, these things are not made for long range travel. You stand on them, all right? And because this thing does not have, God, I just turned that on. But because this thing does not have suspension, you shouldn't want to go over 20 miles because it's going to be uncomfortable. That's why some scooters are adopting chairs, and I'm just like, why? The point of an electric scooter is to stand on it, not to sit on it. If you just want to sit on something, get a bike, not an electric scooter. So that's my logic with that. But yeah, so just be aware that the range is about 10.3 miles on the fastest mode, so that's mode 3, about 18 for mode 2, and then 22 for mode 1. Mode 1 goes about 12, mode 2 goes around 18, and mode 3 goes around 24. So that's your specs for the range. And the range is totally fine, guys, unless you need more. Then if you need more, then this is not the scooter for you, and quit complaining about it. Because it's not for you. So, yay. So the build quality is great. Range is fine. Another thing that I do really like about the scooter, we're going to talk about the speed and acceleration. So it has two 750 watt motors right down here. There's a front one right here with a big fat pneumatic tire. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And right back here, you also have a 750 watt motor. These things are incredible. First of all, they're super, super quiet, which some scooters are very loud, so it's very nice to see that this one's really quiet. It uses regenerative braking, so what a lot of scooters don't have is that you can control the brakes with one hand. Whoa, what an innovative idea, I know, right? And when people are like, this thing's overpriced, and I point to this, I'm like, this is super convenient. The thumb throttle is also super ergonomic. I've not had any thumb strain with this thumb throttle. On my last one, I had a Xiaomi M365. That one, I had strain on my thumb, but I used cruise control for most of the time. This one, I could just keep it forward for most of the ride and not have any strain on my finger, which is really, really nice. Another thing about this scooter, about the speed, is the acceleration. So I've not done any acceleration test per se in terms of like what it gets to in 15 seconds, but it feels like 2 to 3 seconds. It's insanely fast. And then for 20 miles per hour, I noticed that once it hits 15, it's a bit of a slower incline. So it gets up to 24, I would say, in around 8 to 9 seconds. So it's actually really fast. And like the get off is incredible. The get off is almost so fast that sometimes the tires actually rub on the cement before you go. Like, you know how you've ever had like a bicycle and you accidentally pushed the throttle forward, but you didn't want it to go and you held it into place and the tires kind of skid on the ground? That's what this thing does sometimes. Like whenever you get off, because it has such a fast get off. So you just kind of have to be aware of that. And the first time you ride this thing at 24 miles per hour, you're gonna like poop your pants. Like that's how fast it is. It's crazy. Another thing that you have to be aware about with a scooter is with the speed is be careful. I always ride a helmet, which perfectly segues into safety. So this thing has 3 braking systems. It has regenerative braking, which I showed earlier, which is using the thumb throttle. Down here it has a disc brake. So this brake is used in conjunction with this, and basically what happens is when you pull on that, this goes down and it kind of stops the tire. This is connected to the tire directly, or the motor, and basically it stops. One thing though, you have to be a little bit careful about, especially when it's raining, the tire on the back does skid. Just be very, very careful about that. It does skid around that much. Here, you see the current position? It skids around that much. So from the, it almost fell, but I caught it. So sometimes it skids like that, to the right, to the left, sorry, to the left, and you can't really control that. So just be careful when you're riding in wet terrain. Try to use the regenerative braking as much as possible when you're riding wet. Honestly, I would go at 18 miles per hour on wet to make sure you can get those turns well. These are pneumatic tires, so they should handle the rain fine, but just be careful. Another thing that you guys have to be careful about with the safety of the scooter is some problem I had earlier, and that is the thing that fastens this top to the body itself. I actually had this loosen on me a couple times, and I've gotten it tightened about 3 times. Now it's staying tightened, so just be careful about that. I have gotten it misaligned, and sometimes there is a little bit of there's no wobble in the scooter, even a little bit. But at first, because I didn't tighten this fully, it did have a tad bit of wobble right here. So just be careful about that. And with the wide handlebars, it makes it way harder to go with one hand. You shouldn't ride an electric scooter with one hand, so that's why. But whenever you do turn signals, you have to use a hand. So that's why it's kind of annoying at times to have these wide handlebars. Ow. Sorry about that, Mike. Sorry about that. So, where was I at? I think I was talking about safety. So, with the disc brake, it also has a bell here. So yeah. I'm going to talk about some of the problems I've had, and there's been quite a bit, and more than I'm comfortable with, honestly, and I've been so frustrated with this one thing that keeps happening. Here, I think I can actually demonstrate it for you guys. Okay, so I turn on the boosted rev, right? Fully, right? I push the throttle forward. Look at this. Oh, now it wants to work. Okay. Here, you know what? I'm going to turn it off again, turn it back on. And I want to show you guys, this does not work. My God, now it's working. Okay, now it's deciding to work. Okay, well, you guys get my point. When you turn it on sometimes, it sometimes doesn't go on the first try. And you have to turn it off for about a minute, and then you can go. Which is super annoying, and I don't like that. Why do you have to turn it off to get it to go? You know, like, honestly, like, it gets really annoying, and it's a software bug that they're planning to fix. So just be very, very aware of that when you're buying this scooter. that you could have that issue. I think I was talking about safety and with turn signals and stuff. So basically the turn signals, I actually installed a little light. I'll also leave this in the description. The light uses this little controller here, which I hot glued on right here. Hot glue works perfectly, by the way, and it's super ergonomic for me just to press these buttons while keeping my grip on this thing. So yeah, I use these buttons constantly, especially when I'm riding. I always keep this light on, not in the day, but at night or when it's starting to get a bit dark and dog. But yeah, so I really do like this scooter, but the problems that I said before. Also, whenever I go on the scooter, it sometimes the motor frequency is a little bit like scattered. Like whenever I go forward on the scooter, sometimes it stops and then goes again. I don't know why exactly, but yeah. I also want to talk about something that a lot of scooters don't have. It's the IPX7 water resistance. Right now in California, it's actually raining. I know it never happens, but it is actually raining here, and I've actually rode this thing in the rain. No problem at all. So I can confirm it is water resistant. Please don't submerge it in a pool, though. It's not made for that. But for rain, it is perfect. It's totally fine for rain. And the tires are so thick and like are rubber that it really makes a big difference for riding. Also, I believe that's almost it. I have to say the controls are fantastic. Some things that they can improve on. There are some things I think that they could add to make the scooter a lot better. The first thing is suspension. So that's the first thing they could add. And I understand that they didn't want to put suspension in their first generation scooter. It added weight, it added complexity. But honestly, I think they should add it. Just for the sheer fact that if you're going to be riding this thing, suspension does actually help for longevity of the scooter. So if Boosted is really keen on longevity, because this thing's going to be bumping around and stuff, the body itself is going to have more wear than if it had suspension. So honestly, Boosted, if you're listening to this, just add suspension to the next model. Because it's fine over most roads, but sometimes it does get a little bit bumpy, and it would be nice to smoothen that ride out a little bit. Another thing that I'm not like too fond of with this scooter is the overall like arching price tag. The price tag is the thing that really scares me away from the scooter. It is an amazing scooter, guys. But do not buy it for $1,600. All right, that is overpriced, and I'm gonna say that right now. And I'm a huge fan of the scooter. But $1,600 is way too much for the scooter. Get it for $1,200 to $1,400. I think that's the perfect sweet spot for the scooter. Because if you're looking at scooters for $1,200 to $1,400, this thing is the best one. What other ones are out there? I looked at the Mercane Wide Wheel. That's a good one, but this one has more powerful motors. Has better wheels in my opinion because you actually can turn on the Mercane Wide Wheel. It's kind of like a weird turning angle, and also has a full display right here. The Mercane Wide Wheel Pro does have that, but this one's more intuitive, and it has dual regenerative braking. So believe this one's probably better than the Pro model, and it's only a little bit more than it. So honestly, if you care a lot about range, do not look at the scooter. But if you don't really care about range and you want the fastest, pretty light scooter. It's 46 pounds, which is pretty decent, actually. I've been able to carry this thing up the stairs pretty easily. It's been perfect, 46 pounds, and it feels really solid, which I do really like. Also, I've not had any flats on the tires. I've also had no problems with the tires. They've been perfect. So, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then you can like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!